The evening of July 13, 1966, began like any other for me and my fellow student nurses in our Chicago townhouse. As recent arrivals from the Philippines, we were excited about our fresh start in America and dedicated to our studies. But that night, our shared dream turned into a nightmare we'd never wake from. As I lay in my bed after a tiring day, I heard a knock on our bedroom door around 11 p.m. With a sense of unease, I unlocked the door, and my eyes met with a stranger, a young man named Richard Speck. In his hands, he clutched a hunting knife and a pistol, tools of destruction that sent chills down my spine. He'd invaded our peaceful home through a downstairs window. Speck's calm demeanor belied the danger we were in. He ordered my roommate and me out of our room and herded us into another with 4 of our housemates. His movements were systematic, the cold glint in his eyes a stark contrast to his placid tone. He bound our wrists and ankles with torn sheets, the coarse fabric digging into our skin. 3 more of our housemates walked into this horrifying scene and were bound similarly. The atmosphere was tense, but Speck maintained an eerie calmness, assuring us he was just robbing us, needing money to get to New Orleans. His chilling words, "Don't be afraid. I'm not going to kill you," felt like a lifeline. We clung to that lie, believing we might survive this night. But the nightmare escalated when he untied one of the girls. Leading her away, he left us in the silent dread of anticipation. We could hear muffled cries piercing the stifling silence, followed by a chilling quiet. The realization that we were not merely robbery victims filled me with terror, and I saw my only chance. I crawled under a bed, praying Speck wouldn't notice my absence. As I lay crammed into the narrow space beneath the bed, every minute felt like an eternity. I felt my heart pounding against my ribs, fear choking me with every shallow breath. I could hear the terrifying sounds of assaults happening just beyond my hiding place. The gut-wrenching screams of terror, the sickening thuds of his blows, all mixed with the grotesque grunts of his exertions, and the rhythmic squeaks of the mattress bouncing under his horrendous force. Every new round of assault was a fresh wave of terror. Each cry for mercy, each plea for life, echoed in the room, a reminder of the monstrous act taking place. This terrifying soundtrack lasted over the span of 4 horrifying hours, filling the house with the sound of violence and desperate cries of fear. At some point, Speck committed his final act of violence in the same room where I lay hidden. The brutal assault occurred mere feet away from me. The room was filled with whimpers of pain. Her loud groans followed every thrust like a jolt of shock and terror, as I lay helplessly under the bed with the sound of his grunts imprinted in my memory. After what felt like an endless night, the room finally fell silent. But the silence wasn't comforting, it was a dreadful testament to the horrors that had unfolded. As I emerged from my hiding place, the grim reality of the past few hours was laid bare before me. My friends, my fellow nurses, lay lifeless, their lives brutally snuffed out. In the aftermath of this horrific event, the justice system became my new battleground. I was called upon to testify in court, to look directly into the eyes of the man who turned our dreams into nightmares and ensure that he paid for his crimes. Every question brought back the horrific memories, every word a vivid reminder of the horrors we'd faced. But I held on to the courage for myself and for my friends who could no longer speak for themselves. I stood before the court, my voice steady as I positively identified Richard Speck as the man who invaded our home and shattered our lives. Every chilling detail I recalled served as a damning indictment against him, my words weaving the irrefutable narrative of his monstrous acts. When the final gavel came down, it brought with it the weight of justice. Richard Speck was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, ensuring he would spend the rest of his days behind bars, far away from any other potential victims. It was a small consolation in the face of our immense loss, but knowing he was being held accountable for his atrocities brought a semblance of closure. My friends' lives were cut tragically short, but their memories lived on in every tear shed, every story shared, and every battle fought in their honor. I carry them with me. They are forever in my heart, their dreams, though unfulfilled, never forgotten.